Welcome back. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has hosted a global vaccine summit today. He's urged nations to pledge funding for vaccinations against infectious diseases to help poor countries tackle the coronavirus pandemic. More than 50 countries came together virtually to raise funds for the GAVI Vaccine Alliance, a public-private global health partnership. To discuss, we're joined by our correspondent in London, Stuart Smith. So, Stuart, this sounds like a big event, hoping to raise big money today.
Yes, it's a big event hoping to raise big money, and indeed they managed to achieve it. They wanted $7.4 billion by the end of the day, pledged from 50 different countries, and they managed to beat that target by over $1 billion. They've raised $8.8 billion in total. And this summit was hosted by the UK, planned before the outbreak of coronavirus, and it's to help develop vaccines for all different sorts of diseases. It's not just coronavirus, although coronavirus, now that it has come about, will receive some of these funds. So $8.8 billion, according to Boris Johnson, will help 8 million people across the globe. Yeah. And certainly he was saying that although it's very sad that coronavirus is going on, this money, this target was probably only helped by the global pandemic.
Yeah, surely that's why a lot of money is pouring in. But this isn't, like you said, only about COVID-19 and a vaccine there, but other immunization programs that we're hearing are falling through the cracks, and that could have huge consequences down the line.
Yes, that is the case, and so malaria vaccines, for example, were mentioned as one possible vaccine that could needs more funding and is not getting enough. And so states eager to mention that although the big news is coronavirus, and that is the main thing on everyone's agenda at the moment, this is the fear that don't ignore the other diseases. And for example, the previous COVID-19 virus, which was SARS-CoV-1. Now, when this came out, there was a lot of measures taken, as we're seeing now with SARS-CoV-2. But eventually, over time, funding was reduced. People lost interest. If that had not happened, if people had maintained that interest and funding in SARS-CoV-1, we may already have had a vaccine ready for SARS-CoV-2.
Sure. Well, Johnson says the UK is the biggest donor to the international effort to find a vaccine for COVID-19. Was there any talk of the concerns that are in the back of many people's minds, even though we don't even have a vaccine, but that it will be distributed equitably?
Yeah, there were, and this was a big part of this conference. The UK, for example, it has a vaccine in development at the University of Oxford, and they have said that the first 30 million vaccines, should it be developed, I mean, this is all very tentative, the first 30 million will go to UK citizens. However, they are going to be producing hundreds of millions more, and they are very keen that this goes to other countries, including developing countries. The United States has already put in an order for 400 million vaccines, but after that, it will be spread to other countries. There's no desire in the UK to keep it just to the UK or other countries that have paid for it already.
All right, so thank you for wrapping up that vaccine summit. Before we let you go, Stuart, what's the situation in London and around the UK regarding the demonstrations that we've seen around George Floyd?
Yes, so we had a very large demonstration yesterday night, which was almost entirely peaceful, very good-natured. A few scuffles at the end, but people mostly looking ahead to the protests at the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday will be outside the US Embassy, where, of course, George Floyd, in the US, where George Floyd was killed. But the one on Saturday is focusing more about institutional and structural racism in the UK.
All right, thank you very much. Stuart Smith live for us from London in the UK.